Hi, Gordon J. Alexander back. Finally got my battery charged, and I wonder if Spielberg has these problems. I left off talking about, I think, the son of a bitch, James Arthur Ray, and that's how these demigods that walk the earth, who will tell you they are the ascended masters and have the secrets, and for $10,000 or $25,000 you could learn them too. Anyhow, let's get on with it. We're talking about preoccupations. What are they? Here they are. This may be the most important piece of paper you ever see in your life. Because if you get this and understand it, I showed you on the pictogram of persuasion that your target, in this case a transaction with money in it, is in their own little world of me, 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 me. It's all about me. Here we see what the primary preoccupations are. Number one, it's always self-interest. What's in it for me? What do they get out of it? So if you approach your persuasion situation with that in mind, what do they get out of it? Now, the 5 primary preoccupations, and by the way, people break down the Maslow pyramid into tens. They break down the pyramid into 10 or 15 or 20 things. I keep it to 5, and you're free to add on to these. But self-preservation, every day I mention to you that 10,000 people a day are turning 60 years old. You can believe that health is on their mind, and for your younger people who think that your grandma 60 years old is having sex is a gross idea, let me tell you something, you have no idea. Immortality and legacy comes into that. Recognition, fame, power, and group leadership, financial gain or loss prevention, and loss prevention is even a more powerful preoccupation. Sex, we talked about, romance and adventure, and the spirit. Those are the 5 primary preoccupations. And when you understand it, when you understand what those really mean, you'll be able to craft your words in such a way to get the response that you desire, or at least you'll be a lot closer to getting it. So take a good look at that, and you might want to write these down. Self-interest. What's in it for me? If you haven't started writing a pictogram, now's a good time to do it. Get a blank piece of paper, draw a little circle, put your target in there. Then 5, self-preservation, recognition, financial gain, sex, and spirit. Along with those 5 primary preoccupations, we have we have preoccupations that are gender specific. On the left is a female, and on the right's the guy. And the female, their primary gender-specific preoccupations, along with those basic 5 I showed you, are intimacy, a sense of worth, companionship, physical contact, and genealogy. They are the keepers of the family traditions. On the guy's side, their preoccupations are sex, recreation, camaraderie, social group, social contribution, and intimacy, and most of the time, or a lot of the time, that comes through sex with the guy. So you see they're kind of flipped over. What's a primary preoccupation for a woman may be totally the opposite for a guy, and that's when you run into a bunch of problems in relationships. So intimacy for a female is emotional disclosure or physical substitute. Listen, this is written down with a magic marker on a piece of paper. These are not laws carved into stone. And if you get more into psychology and you advance along with persuasion, you'll see that this is just a thumbnail sketch. But it comes in very handy when you're trying to craft words that influence people to understand what their preoccupations are. And if you're talking to a woman, you have to address her in a different way than you do a guy, because their thinking is different. If you haven't noticed that by now, you're in some problems. See, a lot of times they'll take this physical contact just to go shopping, the genealogy of the family. They want companionship to do and share. Now, I wrote down here as a little league coach. And you'll see that that pretty much satisfies most of the guys' things. And hopefully it doesn't satisfy their sexual needs, although in today's world you can't go to Google News without seeing some story of some coach somewhere being a real asshole. But anyhow, these are the primary preoccupations. I'm now going to show you that probably maybe the single most important element of this whole series. Robert Cialdini is a professor, I believe at Arizona, who wrote the book Influence. I highly recommend you get it because it is a terrific book, and it goes a long way to your knowledge about what motivates people. What is the most powerful of all the weapons or the strategies, the techniques? The most powerful is a thing called reciprocity. Reciprocity. You give and then you get. You give and then you get. And in his book, Cialdini talks about click worry. Starts the book out, Influence. Don't let another day go by that you don't go and read that book. Go buy it somewhere and have it sent. Buy it on Amazon. But he talks about the click whir, and they did experiments. For example, I believe, if I remember right, they played sounds of a mother hen, and it was making some noises, and chicks were responding to this tape recording automatically. See, it was click whir, click whir. When we talk about stimulus response, if you can get to a click whir reaction, what you've got is what's called an innate reciprocal response. That's easy for me to say. See, in the whole world of stimulus response, if you can get this innate, now what does innate mean? That means like it's natural, it's hardwired within us. We're born with this. When somebody does something to us or for us, whether it's language, whether it's physicality, we respond in a reciprocal nature, usually in the same manner. So if somebody yells at you, for example, it gets real loud, we have a tendency, if we don't run away or back away, to respond in a like manner. This is very important stuff. Innate reciprocal response. It's natural, it's primal, we're hardwired into this. Like I said, it's a click whir, and it's a two-way street. When you're crafting your words, you have to keep this in mind. What is the response that I'm going to get with my stimulus, being the stimulus? What is the response I want? And if I can get to an innate reciprocal response, you've got it made. Now, I want to tell you something before I go into the final one, which is about niches, how to use all this stuff to put it together. And the thing I want to mention is these are not only weapons of influence, they can also be a shield against the weapons that are being used by the scumbags and by the marketers and by all these people out there that are taking the money from you and promising you hope, giving you the hope for a better tomorrow. And that's pretty much all they sell is hope. And so it's important that you understand what techniques, because these guys, especially marketing guys, are schooled and mastered in influence and persuasion. They know this stuff inside and out. They've spent years studying it. And they're trying to get you to that click whir where you read their promotion online, or you've got to, and they fire you up and they get you all excited. And they even use terms like getting you aroused and hot and bothered for a product. And then behind closed doors, they talk about the bonbon eaters and it's disgusting what is being used against us. But if you don't know what it is, then you have no choice but to just let it influence and affect you in some way. And this is also the major advertisers on TV and radio. They know this stuff, and marketers, and so in religions, would-be gurus. So use this information.